Good afternoon, Wes Morris and others watching. It is Saturday, March 28th, and it's Saturday afternoon, and I'm sitting outside. You probably hear the birds singing and thunder rolling and the rain coming down. It's what I would call a beautiful spring day. There's something special. I love thunderstorms. Just reminds me of God's amazing power. You know, it's Saturday night, and it's a bit different of a Saturday night just because of the situation that we're in. At this time on a typical Saturday night, you might be helping kids get ready. They pull their clothes out for church tomorrow and starting to wind things down so everybody can get up and get going in time for church tomorrow. But tomorrow we'll be doing church online, and I would encourage you not to refrain from meeting together, even though our meeting together looks quite a bit different these days with the coronavirus and all of the shelter-in-place restrictions and guidelines that are in place. I've been reflecting today on the fact that we find ourselves in the middle of the season of Lent. Lent is on the Christian calendar, and it's the 40 days that lead up to Easter. And Lent is designed to help us prepare ourselves and our hearts for Easter, for the celebration of Easter. It is traditionally a time in the Christian calendar when new converts would prepare and learn and ready themselves to be baptized on Easter Sunday. And while we might not always do that, Lent has remained as a season of recognizing our mortality and our need for Christ. And just preparing our hearts so that when Easter comes and we celebrate Christ's resurrection and new life, that we really have recognized our absolute need for that. Even if you might not celebrate Lent, and that might not be a practice that you typically have done, I am thinking that many of us have recognized our mortality and our need for God in our lives and in our world in the midst of this epidemic. And it's interesting to me that this would occur during Lent, as if we might just need one more reminder to pause and to reflect on who we are and who God is and where we stand in relation to Him in this world. I would encourage you tomorrow to gather together with a body of people and worship the Lord. And you might say, it's not the same coming together. I miss seeing my people and giving hugs in the foyer and sitting next to the person I always sit next to. It's not the same. And you're right, it is not the same. But ultimately, church is not about what pew we sit in or whether we have coffee beforehand or who we greet in the lobby, but it's about coming together and honoring God and worshiping the Lord and opening ourselves to Him to learn from Him. And so I would encourage you that you find a place tomorrow to gather together online. It might be on Zoom, it might be on Facebook Live, it might be FaceTime, whatever it is that a body of believers are coming together to worship the Lord. Join in. You know, sometimes God does His greatest work in the places that we become the most uncomfortable and in new places. And I am trusting that He is going to continue to work and move here in our midst. And no, it's not what we're used to, and it's probably not even what we like. But certainly there are places and ways that God indeed can move and can work. And so I want to ask you, where are you going to worship tomorrow morning? Wes Morris Church will be worshiping at 10:30 in the morning live here in this Facebook group. We'll actually begin our live feed at 10:15, so you can come in and find a seat. Finding a seat might be a little bit different, but you can come in, get settled, have your coffee, greet people as you see them come on the live feed, and prepare your hearts to worship the Lord. There actually are many, many opportunities. I heard from one friend that they watched 4 different services last Sunday, and what an awesome opportunity to be able to do that. But I would pray that as you gather together with God's people, even though it is not quite the same as what we are used to doing, that God would be there, God would be moving and working, that we would open our spirits and our hearts to Him, that we would be ready to learn from Him and to be challenged and to grow from His instruction and His guidance in our lives. And that this Sunday in the season of Lent, we might be ever reminded of our mortality and our need for a God who is so much greater and so much better and so much stronger and more powerful than we ever could possibly even pretend to be. That God that we worship loves you, knows your name, has your name graven on his hand, in fact. So he never will leave you or forsake you. He does not forget about you. Wherever you find yourself in the midst of this crisis, in the midst of sadness or great anxiety, in the midst of fear, in the midst of just not knowing what the future holds, God is with you here in the midst. He is one who draws near to the brokenhearted, and that is true and something that can be counted on. So may that God be with you for the remainder of the day and wake you up in the morning anticipating and being ready to come together with God's people to worship. I know that I would look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Sunday at 10:30 here at Westmorris in our live feed, and I pray that God will just speak to you in a way that only He can. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and God bless. Praying for you. Wash your hands, and we'll check in with you again tomorrow as we come together to worship.